It's been decades since I was able to regularly attend Sunday services at First Reformed, but I've remained a member of the church all these years, and it remains the church that's closest to my heart. I didn't always give to the church through the decades, but in recent years, I have put this church high on the list of my giving priorities. Of all the glorious cathedrals I've visited in the world, and of all the intimate chapels I've stepped in and felt the presence of God, this is the place that for me will always be church. I put it high on my list of giving priorities because I really want to help stabilize this place that's so near and dear to the heart of me and my family, and especially to my mother, Sylvia. This is the place where I was baptized and confirmed and married, the place that helped raise and nurture my sister Becky and me, and the place where I feel, perhaps more than anywhere else, the everlasting presence of my father, John. When I give, I picture that beautiful sanctuary on the corner of Salisbury and East Center Street, and that's what fills my heart with generosity, with appreciation, gratitude, and a need to express it by giving back. When I enter the sanctuary, whenever I'm home, I feel my past, my present, my future. I feel like I'm my most whole self when I'm back in that space. It's always a comfort to return and see familiar faces here and to feel the eternal presence of those who are still there in spirit. When my dad was ill and passed away in 2015, I really experienced the truth, my whole family did, of having a community to carry us through those difficult days. I'd heard about that as a thing, but I'd never really experienced it. But boy, the power that this congregation brought us, the support, the love, really was elevating. It carried us high through those days. And at that moment, I also realized that even though I lived hundreds of miles away, that I could rely on this church family to continue to love and carry my mother even when I wasn't there. So supporting this church is about all these things it's meant to me, and about wanting to ensure its continuity so that it can nurture and sustain people like my family and who congregate and worship here today. We shouldn't panic about the survivability of this church, but we shouldn't take it for granted either. Like the early church, we have to always be vigilant. We have to be building and sustaining, and while we must never get discouraged, we have to realize it's not an easy thing to build and sustain a church. I have to say that before Elizabeth arrived, which was around the time my dad was sick, I had become pessimistic about the fortunes of this church. But then, as if out of nowhere, out of heaven, she arrived, and there was a bright new energy that I thought was only a thing of the past, a renewed sense of community and purpose and so much joy. COVID unfortunately stalled some of the momentum that she brought to us, but we can and we are emerging from that, and we can feel the future again. So my giving is about what this church has meant to me, what it means to my family, but it's also about the larger Lexington community that also is near and dear to my heart. A community that this church serves so faithfully. This church has power in this community. It has respect. It's a beacon on the little hill there at Salisbury and East Center Streets. I sometimes listen in on Lexington City Council meetings because I do care very much about my hometown, and my father taught me to care a lot about local politics. A few months ago, when I was listening to a city council meeting, out of nowhere, I was gratified to hear First UCC called out for the key role it plays in reaching out to members of the community who have material needs that we can and that we do address. We're not by far the largest congregation in Lexington, but we might be the mightiest. This church family is the little engine that could. It's just amazing the output that comes from this place, so much more than its numbers would indicate are possible. Right now, we really are the fishes and loaves when it comes to service. many months of the year, it costs a lot more to do the things we do, to take care, to serve both the families of this church, to give them a place to worship, a place to come for comfort and ballast and community, and also to reach out beyond our members to the larger community. It may feel like a mutually exclusive choice. Do we use our limited resources to support each other, or do we use it to support the community? Well, it may be that in stretching ourselves to do both, we complete a circle. By delivering more, by stretching our dollars and our numbers to help serve the community, we realize the miracle of the fishes and loaves in two respects. We not only multiply what we can give in service to the community, but in the act of that service, we reinforce the bonds we have with each other. We multiply the connections and the love we have within this congregation, forging and strengthening our church family. Don't give up on this church. I'm not going to. I intend to continue to share my financial resources with this little engine church that could. May God bless you all.